Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us on the Bridge 99 FM. Good morning, Richie, wherever in the world you are. I saw a picture of you at the Dubai airport, so I know where in the world you are. I have a wonderful day. And Team Up and Go, have a wonderful day also. I want to say a very special morning to Team Untengle. You all have yourselves a wonderful, a wonderful day. So you know what's happening today on Tangle. We pay respect to our women in reggae, and we also pay respect to the genre reggae, and of course we are inside of Black History Month. So we continue to celebrate Black excellence. So we want to, first of all, welcome the Lows to the Bridge 99 FM as we untangle the story of the Lows. Good afternoon, Mr. and Mrs. Lowe.
Good afternoon.
How are you both?
We're doing well. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks, and thanks for asking. All right, so I don't know anything about the Lows, and we're going to be finding out slowly but surely. So let us start, as we always do, with ladies before gentlemen. So, Mrs. Lowe, let us start with you. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Not all, because we're going to go into the details later on. Just a little bit.
A little bit about myself. So I'm a social worker by profession, and I also work on the side as a author and illustrator for Just Genius Kids, a brand that we started during the pandemic. Married to this lovely young man for almost 7 years now, and been together all my life since I was 16.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always find it interesting when I meet couples who say they've been together from they were either teenagers or they know each other from them a picnic. And, very interesting.
Yeah.
And the fact that I'm still in love, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
We met at church.
Okay.
One of those church stories. Yeah.
One of them church love story.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So you finished with your little bit, Mrs. Lowe?
Yes, I am, for now.
For now, yes. All right, Mr. Lowe, your time.
Yes, I'm Dervin Lowe from Norwood, Montego Bay, Jamaica. Well, sure. I love the days of common entrance. Went to Cornwall College and then went to Harrison after that. Didn't get the subjects I wanted. Then I went to NCU. Then after NCU, God blessed me with a scholarship, current government scholarship. Went to South Korea for 3 years. Did a master's degree there. And it has been a wonderful experience so far. I'm currently operations manager at Yorkville University in British Columbia. And I do writing and publishing and design as well for other books, editing. So I'm kind of, the brains behind everything.
Really?
The brain.
No, really? You're the brain behind everything. So Mrs. Lowe is the what?
Good question. I
We are the brain.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
I like that look that you give Mrs. Lowe. All right. You mentioned common entrance, and for those of us who took common entrance, you well, not that is a big deal, but you really date yourself when you say common entrance. You see same thing for I don't know nothing about what you're talking about when you talk about common entrance. All right. So you both have things in common. What are, before we start to talk about what you do differently, let us talk about what you have in common and how you work that together. So you both are authors?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So let us talk about your books that you write, Mrs. Lowe, because it seems as though your focus is a lot on the youngsters.
Yes.
Let's talk about that.
So, let me just start by naming some of the books, then I'll get a bit more into why I chose some of the topics that I have. So we co-authored ABC 123 and Animal 123, Animal ABC, Rex Ghana Canada, Kids and Emotions with Aiden and Bobo, and Chloe goes to the zoo. Now, let me start with kids and emotions. As a social worker, first and foremost, I have the opportunity of working with children and also adults. And it has come to my realization, this really came from my nephew inspiring this book, that a lot of us aren't emotionally intelligent.
Mm-hmm.
And being emotionally intelligent helps to better cultivate us, helps to better ground us as adults, being able to just be one with your emotions, knowing how to navigate it, knowing how to sit with it when it happens, when you're angry, when you're sad, when you're, the different roller coasters of emotions that happen.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought, having seen my nephew go through a traumatic experience of losing his dad at 5 years old, and seeing how he was able to navigate those emotions, it really nudged me, a combination of doing it in the workspace and seeing it at home in my personal life, that this was something that we don't spend a lot of time on. And so I wanted to write about it, but in a fun, interactive way that will engage both parents slash guardians and children to, hone in on this and learn about their different emotions in a very fun and exciting way, a
Mm-hmm.
way that allows a conversation to start between parents, between children, and just the different aspects of what comes with each emotion.
Wonderful.
Um, Rex Gonna Canada really came from the event that happened in Jamaica last year when 144 dogs migrated to Canada. And
We did a whole thing about Pauline, the dog with the
oh
four
my
shoes.
God,
Oh my God. All right,
yeah,
before you talk about,
listen,
yeah, go ahead.
a friend of mine said it to me. She's like, I think you guys should do this book. And I'm like, no. And then I realized it became a big thing. And then just reading some of the comments, I'm like, you know what? I think I want to do a book on this. And I think it was a very good opportunity for me to do a children's book in patois, because it is written in patois.
Mm-hmm.
And that is something I love, my Jamaican patois. Love, love, love my patois. Every opportunity I get, you'll hear Sosa patois from me. And I think it was a beautiful way of, just showcasing that part of our Jamaican culture.
Mm-hmm.
You hear all the time when tourists come to Jamaica, they try to talk like us.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was a great way to share that with the world.
Right. Let's back up a
So
bit.
that's how we do.
Let's back up a
Go
bit.
ahead.
You spoke about emotional intelligence. Now, for those of us who took common interest, you see, we we did
Wow.
we did not learn anything at all unless it was at home about emotional intelligence. So it
Nope.
is a wonderful opportunity, I think,
Mhm.
for you to use this opportunity to teach parents how to teach their
Mhm.
children about emotional intelligence. That's
That is so
wonderful.
true. That is so true. And it's funny that you said that we start in the home, because I feel like it's lacking a lot in the home. Growing up, you would hear you ball too much, or why you be so. It's like you weren't encouraged
Express
to
yourself.
to express yourself, to you weren't encouraged to go through whatever emotions that's happening. And I believe that it also came from the fact that our parents weren't parented a particular way.
Hmm.
And, raising a child, if it psychology shows that you parent based on what you got. And if
Right.
you haven't unlearned certain things, then you're not in a space to educate your child differently. And so the cycle doesn't break, it continues.
Absolutely. And especially boys, you know,
Yes.
I, And I think perhaps it's showing now in the way how they're responding. A lot of boys think
Exactly.
that to have no empathies is a man thing, and
Exactly. You know, a lot of times, one of the things my nephew, as I said, he inspired this book. And one of the things that we do with him, my sisters and I in the family, I remember my uncle saying, we're not growing too soft. And I'm like, no, he's allowed to cry. He's allowed to sit with his emotions. And what we do is that we show him or guide him more so how to sit with it, how to label it. What
yes,
happens when I'm feeling this way? What are the
right,
appropriate ways to respond to this type of emotions? You know,
right,
these type of emotions. What do I do? I need to separate myself if I'm angry. Probably go somewhere, probably count to 10, probably journal. There are so many different ways of processing anger, processing happiness, processing sadness, all these different variation of emotions. And so
right,
I think it's very, very important and very critical if it is that we want to see a healthy society. Um,
absolutely.
yeah, it's a foundational thing.
All right, we're going to come back to Rex Ghana, Canada. But before we come back to that, let's talk to Derville about illustration. That book has a brilliant illustration. Are you responsible for the illustration, Derville?
No, she is. Tash is
So
responsible.
you
She's
see,
the illustrator.
he's not really the brains behind it.
I mean, they're going to say something about me, just shut up. Me make sure me don't say anything. Yes. So all right. So you tell us exactly what a content designer does.
So when Tasha illustrates, I get all the material from her. She uses a scanner or her phone, takes the pictures of them because she does them by hand, and then I get them, put them into Photoshop, clean them up, and then I set the pages, do all the designing and the typesetting, the editing, and everything. So I take all the stuff that she gives to me, her manuscripts, her illustrations, and I just use that to create all the content for all the
Wow.
books.
Wow. That's just so exciting. It's wonderful when couples have something that they depend on each other for. Do you
Yeah,
find
yeah.
that this
That's that's
strength
that's pretty much what it is.
Yes. Do you find that this strengthens the relationship and not only just that, but shows that there is strength in the woman and there's strength in the man?
Of course,
Absolutely.
absolutely. The thing is, when the idea came for the first book, the first person I thought of to illustrate was her. She always did cartoons for fun. So I just thought we were separating, right, during COVID, and it was what kept us together. We started the book, she illustrated, and I kept doing the designs. And as I designed, she illustrated and sent them to me. And the first, as a matter of fact, one, two, three books were published while we're apart.
One, two, three
Wow.
was published. One, two, three,
ABC,
ABC, Rex.
yeah,
Wow.
All those were published while we
we're
were
apart.
apart.
So it did strengthen us and kept us connected
Yes.
during that separation, and it has kept us well together. It's like a little glue to add to the other bluish stuff,
Right. Right.
So it yeah,
Right.
it does, and it strengthens our communication as well.
Right. I can well imagine that. Let's talk about Jamaicans living in Canada. I know it's not easy for Jamaicans or any nationality to move away from where it's comfortable and not only just to fit in, but to excel. Tell me
Yeah,
what that secret is, if it is a secret.
Uh,
I the secret to that is faith. Number one, faith in God is important because you're jumping out of your comfort zone into something that you don't know. And what many persons don't know is that Canada is so diverse, and with the diversity comes a lot of barriers, and persons come and take it for granted, and there are quite a few frustrated immigrants here. So it was a big leap of faith that we took, and for me, it was pretty frustrating at first because I was I left a decent job in Jamaica. I was researcher at the Korean embassy, so and Tasha was social worker. But when she came, she went straight into school, and I ended up job hunting, and that was frustrating. And I thought I'd get a nice little job that pays well. It didn't happen that way. I worked at Walmart. It wasn't terrible, but it was a minimum wage job. And I had to quickly get into that mode of working because we needed the income and forget about the type of job it was and just get into it and do it.
That's not easy at all.
No.
And a lot of people face that issue and don't master it as well as you do, because if you had a good job in
No.
Jamaica, you have an impression of yourself, and then you go and you start flipping burgers or wherever it is, whatever it is that you're
Exactly.
doing. And
And I told Tasha, that I'm not going to flip any burgers, right? Me not do it, right? And I was frustrated. And you know what? The book I wrote, the immigration guide I wrote, was exactly from someone's experience. Because someone was on LinkedIn and they were just lamenting about the situation in Canada, not finding the ideal job. And I started responding to that post, and I wouldn't stop typing. And that's how really the book started.
wow.
And I just built on that and published this guide to help persons with that transition.
You know, I'm very excited about talking about that, because we're talking about Black excellence as we celebrate Black history, and a lot of people of color are faced with this issue. How do we overcome marginalization? How do we overcome, you know, the stigma that is attached to our Blackness, and can we actually overcome it? And it's wonderful that you're talking to us this way, Deville, because you have proven that we can.
Yes, you can.
Yes.
Absolutely. All right, we're wrapping up now. But before we wrap up, let us go back to Rex, Ghana, Canada. Because, you know, as we talk about culture and we're talking about adapting, I remember when family members of mine first migrated, and it was a brother of mine, and one of his sons sent a video of him shooting birds. And I remember my brother's response to his son was that, which part me the a sentence you'd get for them, there's something there. So it brings me back now to the culture of how we treat dogs in particular and animals in general. Does your book touch on that? Because trust me, you know.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Rex,
Oh, yes.
them your good treatment where Rex are getting a Canada, you know, used to it, you know.
Listen, I would love to send you a copy of this book
I would love a copy.
so you can have a read. It's very comical, but I stayed as true to what I've experienced, what I've seen living back home where dogs are concerned. So I take it, how the story is told is like Rex the dog is telling the story of how he was treated
Okay.
while he was in
Jamaica.
Jamaica.
Okay.
And it carries you through the process of, you know, these persons that came to Jamaica to adopt 144 dogs and what the transition was like. It highlighted the fact that the initial plane that they were supposed to go on to come back to Canada broke down and they had to get a new plane. And it comes into, you know, when they finally reach in Canada and Rex no longer speak patois, but
It's not for twang.
and standard English.
Ay, ay, ay.
Listen, dogs in Canada are spoiled. They get pampered. They get
Right.
fed. Some of them get bedroom, their own house, and
Yeah.
jacket and treats and dog sitters. And in Jamaica, we leave our dogs at home and we go to work.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
It doesn't matter. In
Right.
Canada, you can't leave your pets at home by themselves. You have to find a sitter, and you have dog sitters, businesses that people run. That you drop your dog off, and you go about your business, you go vacation, and you come and pick up your dog, or you find a loved one to leave the dog or your cat with. And it's a different world here for dogs.
Right.
Right?
Right.
I mean, when as a Jamaican you come here and see dogs, so you get treated. You're like, okay, I want dogs, but I will never get one now. We live in an apartment.
Right.
Because if you live in an apartment, it's a rule that you have to walk them. And when you walk them, you have to walk with doggy bags that you pick up their feces with your hand or whatever. So when the dog pass feces on the road, you have to take it up in the bag and walk with it.
You're
I'm
not
not
used to
doing
that. Exactly.
So I tell Tasha, I want a house eventually with a yard.
Yes.
So when I have a dog, I let him out.
Yes.
I make him run up and down in the yard and come back.
But you still
right?
going to get
Because
a
if I'm
dog
going to
sitter.
walk the dog and I have to walk with Doodoo, no.
But you still, but you know, you still, even when you get the yard, you're still going to need a dog sitter because if you're going to leave the dog. Anyway,
Exactly, I have to. Yeah,
all right.
that's
Yeah.
the different worlds.
Yeah. Very interesting. Just, you know, the difference in cultures. Before we go, because we're wrapping up now, either of you can tell us, or our listeners, your thoughts about celebrating Black history as Jamaicans living in Canada. Is there any thought you particularly want to share with us?
Okay, I'd say, as I said, Canada is diverse. And I took the time to do a course called Indigenous Canada because there are three Canadas, right? So being Black, you have to learn how to understand other cultures, understand Indian immigrants, Chinese immigrants, Japanese, Korean, Ethiopian and other African, Nigerian and other African nations, and Latin American, right? All of those are here, plus the indigenous people of Canada, which has three subgroups. And then you have mainstream Canada, which is the settlers who came, who are French and British. And then you have all the other immigrants coming in to add to that, right? So being Black here, you can't pay too much attention to that. You have to learn how to integrate.
Right.
And when you don't learn how to integrate, it becomes a problem. Because even in the workplace, you have people from Europe, Asia, everywhere in the workplace.
Mm-hmm.
And it's important that you don't identify that Blackness too much and start focusing on it, because you're going to miss out on all the other bits that make Canada what it is.
Very
so being Black, you have to
interesting.
know who you are,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Accept and love we're Jamaican, right? So Jamaica is already mixed up
Right.
with everything,
Right.
but it's still
right.
different,
Yes.
right? So it's that accepting who you are,
Mm-hmm.
knowing what you're about, standing tall, standing firm, but then being accepting of the
Yes.
differences that come with everyone else's ethnic background and traditions and
Wow.
cultural practices.
Very well said. And what an interesting lesson to learn. Very well said. As we celebrate ourselves, we have to be conscious that we're not alone in the world and there are
No.
others who celebrate themselves also.
Yes. it's
Wonderful
important.
lesson, wonderful lesson. You know, I could talk to you guys for a long time. You know, you're really very exciting, typically Jamaican, and I really enjoyed speaking with you. We
It was
celebrate
lovely.
you.
Thank you.
We celebrate you as Jamaicans who are also celebrating your excellence. Congrats on your achievements, and thank you
Thank
so very much for talking with us.
Thank
It
you
was
for
a pleasure.
having us.
Thanks so much.
Most welcome. Absolutely. Wasn't that exciting? So we celebrate Black excellence, and we just did so with Dervel and Tasha Lowe. And very exciting conversation and interesting couple. And we're going to be doing that through, oh, that's a lovely picture. We're going to be doing that throughout the month of February. So we're going to take a break. Soon forward. Okay, so we're ready to join Beauregard. Are we ready to join Beauregard and the Irish Jam family? Beauregard,
Good afternoon, Mama Kelly.
how are you?
I'm doing wonderful. I see you smiling there.
Look here. Miss say, let me tell you something. There are
Yeah.
some what you call it now, YouTube videos that I don't usually watch, but they come up on my phone. You know, even though, you know, whatever. So
Yeah.
I just saw one about, I don't know if it's Bounty Killer or Bounty Killer's son or both, but that's what actually cracked me up. Obviously, from you not laughing, you don't hear that one. I'm watching
No.
on. Can I tell you something? You know, mix me up like we had the last week Thursday. You know, so
I have
good,
not heard that one or seen
wonderful,
that video yet.
wonderful.
I'm going to look for it. I'm going to search for it.
I'm sure you're gonna.
I would love to laugh when I see you laughing.
Lord have mercy. But when you find it, you're going to realize it's not something that we're going to speak about. You know,
Okay, no problem.
Not going to be spoken
No problem there.
spoken
So-
about at all.
So how was your Valentine's Day?
You know, some don't celebrate Valentine. Let me tell you why. Because it's really just merchants. Yeah, it's just merchants manipulating consumers for buy. They run
Again.
out. No,
Again.
operative word being again.
Again.
Because them do it in Christmas and then couldn't even wait for 6 months. 2 months later, them do it again. So it's just, it's just manipulation.
It's just a big cycle.
Yeah, man. But you know,
hear you.
to the, what Valentine's Day claims to want to accomplish is something that can happen in our lives just about
Every
every.
day.
Thank you very much. But me not buying into none of them. Yeah, something. Yeah, none tall. Sorry for being a sorry for being a
No,
spot.
I'm totally fine with the way how you feel about it. You know, it's not just you alone, a lot of people, you know, but for those of them out there that celebrate, you know, we give them strength same way. And,
Really, true.
Them love us. So
Yeah.
we highlight them
Absolutely. And,
for a day.
you know something, Beauregard, although I personally don't celebrate it, it's nice when friends say happy Valentine's, because it's something nice, it's something good, and me accept me happy Valentine's, and a little thing you have for me. Why?
I tell you.
Any little thing you have for me, feel free, but at the end of the day, so how was yours?
Well, mine was quiet. There's still COVID here in the USA, and a lot of, and especially on the day of Valentine's Day, it's hard to, if you're saying you're gonna go out, you have to make reservations months ahead, because it's one of
Okay.
those days where if you're gonna go somewhere like a restaurant, it's hard to get reservations like a week in advance. So
I
you
hear
really
you.
and truly have to prepare yourself if that's what you plan on doing for Valentine's. But I was home and spent some nice and quality time with my
Wifey.
wife. Yes.
Right,
So,
nice.
that was my night.
That's
and then,
good.
we have the grown children them at home too. So
It would have more quality if they named it. I get you. You don't have to say anything else, Morgan. We got you. Oh God, I've been there. I know. So you can say to them, so do I have anywhere to go? Lord of mercy. I know. They're so gone, man. Don't worry yourself.
oh man, speaking of Valentine's and people spending so much, I saw a meme the other day. Those little things they make up and post on social media, where they're saying if you're looking for something expensive to give to your loved one, give them gas.
No, I'm food. What should I know? Look here. I don't like, Look here. What can I say? Something though. It's just interesting that you should say that, because while I was looking at all the commercials as to what you can give your loved ones, I realized that the people that may sell flowers are get with murder and
man.
chocolate. So the rest of
Why?
people them doing it with flowers and chocolate. They must say, "Oh, you mean buy little gas? Oh, you mean little meat?" Because
That's expensive.
true. And food. No, food. They were going to the supermarket. Food for Valentine.
May I tell you?
Boy, God, in that sense, no sense.
man.
I agree. Buy like full up my car. Full up my
man,
car.
That's well expensive right now.
Yeah, man.
What's the prices are spiking here in the United States. The average price is about $4 a gallon right now. And as the gas prices rise, everything else rise.
Right.
Because transport of things from one point to the next. But once again, nations are in conflict, and you see words are fling between Russia and Ukraine and the United
Yes,
States.
that one they look serious.
And oil is involved, so the people suffer for now.
But as you talk about Valentine, the Jamaica Constabulary Force is inviting the public to report criminal exes for Valentine's Day. No, I'm serious.
You serious?
I am not joking. Valentine's
man.
Day is still in full swing for some, and the Jamaica Constabulary Force wants in on the action. Me tell you, say everybody want in for the action, promising a Valentine's Day surprise for people's exes who are involved in criminal activities. The Jamaica Constabulary Force on Monday kicked
Wow.
off a social media campaign encouraging people to call 119 on their ex. And they said, they said, you don't have to left them yet, know, even if you're there with them, you can still call.
They have to be trolling.
Yeah.
The constabulary force have to be trolling.
yes. You can still call or report them.
Wow. Then you can imagine now somebody call her and them not get no gift. And them say, you know what, you know, buy me no gift.
Me and you.
Me and you.
Me say somebody.
119.
No. 911 over here, so.
Him over here, you know.
Look here. No,
Yeah, look for him.
no, him is right here side of me.
Oh,
He
man.
is stressing me out, the officer, stressing me out. But no, me like that one they do. Yeah, man. So everybody in panic. Me tell you, if the flowers people, them are get away with too much murder.
Yes,
So
boy.
the other people, them want in panic. Yeah, man.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy world.
Yes.
Wow.
So that's Valentine's Day.
I'll tell you. Well, that's my news from this side this week. Looking forward to what we're getting ready to get into.
Remember, we have Marcia Licklemore. She's actually on the phone here now. But yeah, the Nzinga King story is something that, you know, I'm sure a lot of people want us to talk about. But there's just something that's not right about that story. Something that's not so right. So I don't want to express myself about it, and there are things that I don't know. So I say, make me leave that story for now, because.
Right. I've been seeing mentions of it, but I really did not look at it yet to see what's going on right now.
Right, because the script has flipped, and the
I believe they're saying nothing will go so according to how the story was told in the first place.
yes, but no, they're suggesting the DPP is suggesting that she could actually be charged for public mischief. So you see, say it gone past, you know, what we thought it was. We put it this way, we're still not sure. So let's leave that one alone.
All right.
All right, one more, and then we talk to the Queen.
Yes.
Your one.
I have, well, you know, I was really prepared for the Queen, and
Oh, great.
I have no more stories. I just want to hear what the Queen has to say right now. I'm sure she has a lot of stories she's willing to share with our listeners here in New York City
Okay,
and around the
wonderful.
world.
Wonderful. Sister Marcia, are you there?
You're my royal sister.
How are you, my beautiful sister?
I am giving thanks.
Nice. So I told you off air that we're actually streaming live to the tri-state, and my co-host is Beauregard. He has been looking forward to talking to you for quite a while, so he will also be asking questions. All right?
All right, me too, yeah. All right.
Good afternoon, Sister Marcia.
Top of the afternoon to you, my brother.
Same to you. It's a pleasure to have you on today.
Thank you.
All right. So let us start with this now, sis. You began your career in 1964, and at that time you were still in your early teens and a young girl from West Kingston. Tell us the story of you first performing on stage with Baron Lee and the Dragonaires, which was a big move. Tell us how that even came about.
First of all, it was Easter Monday morning, so I would be 13 November. That's my
Okay.
birthday. So when I walked on stage, I was just a little girl. My father accompanied me to Carib Theatre. And I did one song that morning. This story, Elise, is a story that I'm sure everybody knows and can even sing a song about it. But, you know, that is one thing that I'll never forget. It will never leave my mind the first time I walked on a big stage. Because I was doing other little performances like school, church, and of course, way back before I started in West Kingston, my father took all 3 girls to this function in West Kingston at Chocomo Lawn, and I was very brave to tell Mr. Shiaga that I can sing. I didn't know who this man is. And they lift me up and put me on the back of the truck, and I sing all by myself.
Oh, goodness.
So
Wonderful.
I was like about 8 or 9 that time. But the real thing started Easter Monday morning, 1964, at the Carib Theatre. I was taken from there straight to Studio One, and that's where I met all these icons. I saw Bob Marley, Peter. Bunny was the only person I knew then because we go way back from kindergarten.
Right, you went to school with Jabi.
No, not together. He would hold my hand and leave me at little school, they call it that time, and he would continue to big school.
Okay. So you're saying, go ahead.
No, I'm saying that's where I met everybody. I saw Delroy, the Heptones, Ken, just about all these icons that we know of. I met all of them there. I saw Sister Rita was the only female there. So we became very close. And I walked straight in the studio, recorded my first song, which to this day has never been released.
Really? So what you're saying is that after that performance, you impressed the audience so well that the shakers and movers of the day actually invited you to the studio?
No, it was Linford Anderson who used to work at RGR. He had already planned to take me to Studio One because he knew that, I was singing, because between Linford and Philip James of the Bluesbusters, they were visiting the place, the area that I lived, and they heard me singing. And that's why Philip insisted that I go on the show Easter Monday morning, even though, they didn't want this. The show was already planned. So you can imagine me, a little girl up there.
Wow.
I was facing so much sabotage that morning because they really, really didn't want me on the show. So No Time to Lose is a song by Carla Thomas. That's the song I did. And as the guitar started, and I'm standing there, Elise, and I can't hear nothing. And I don't know better, so I'm looking around on them. And I see, smiles on the guitarist's face, and he's the person supposed to start the song.
So it was
so I hear the audience start to get uneasy. But you know something? Even from that young age, I knew that God had a plan for me.
Yeah.
Because I swear to you, I heard a voice say, little girl, you better start sing.
Oh my goodness.
Because I didn't want anything, and I was very positive. I never have no doubt. I wasn't nervous, nothing. And I just started to sing all by myself, and trust me, them better follow me.
So the guitarist now start play all now?
Well, when I started the song by myself, everybody had to follow. Because I hear the voice tell me, say, you better start before them start throw things or something, because I know what these audience is for. And believe me, Elise, those days when you are trying to emulate any female singer, because, we were influenced by American music.
Right.
And my inspiration and influence was Aretha, Dionne Warwick, Carla Thomas. When you try to emulate those singers, you try to sound exactly like them, because I didn't develop a style or identify my own sound. So I want to sound like whomever I'm singing.
Right.
So when the audience heard that I was singing the melody and also harmonizing myself, oh my goodness, every slur I made in the song, the audience, the whole place just went up in noise.
Wow.
And that was so wonderful. It was overwhelming.
Beautiful.
And of course, Philip was so happy because he was the one that was getting the fight not to bring me on the show. So that's everything went down so beautiful that Ronnie Nasrallah, who was managing Byron Lee at the time, he immediately wanted to manage me, but I went straight down to Studio One, met Mr. Dodd.
Okay.
And Mr. Dodd and Ronnie Nasrallah eventually had a toss-up in who should manage me. But my father, of course, he was always there. And he and Mr. Dodd became very friendly, and I chose to stay with Mr. Dodd.
Studio One. And the rest is history. All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to take a commercial break, a very quick break. And then when we come back, we're going to have Beauregard ask you his first question, all right?
No problem.
All right.
Yes, Sister Marcia, once again, it's really and truly a pleasure to be here interviewing you today. And the question that I'm going to ask you is, what did this song right here, Feel Like Jumping, do for your career?
That was my first release from Studio One in 1967. That song, Feel Like Jumping, was the first, after trying so many different songs, recording. That song came out in 1967, And that was a #1 song both here and in London where it was released, and written by Bob Andy and Jackie Me too.
And this was where everything took off for you.
We'll call it that now, yeah.
But
More or
Sister
less.
Marcia, you also had some more songs that you mentioned that Bob Andy wrote. That one, Feel Like Jumping, but he wrote others, right? Truly and
In that decade of the 60s, he wrote all the songs I recorded there. Melody Life,
right.
Martin Word, Truly, Tell Me Now. All those songs are written by Bob Andy.
Wow.
And of course, we did the duet together, really together.
Right. And the Young, Gifted and Black. How that one went?
That was when we moved from Studio One, 1970, and went to Harry J. Record.
Okay.
And we recorded that song in 1970, I think, yeah. And while I was in Germany with Fab Five, who was then called the Reggae, I came back to Jamaica and got a call that the song was #2 on the British chart, and I was supposed to return to Germany. So when we got the call that the song was #2 and we had to fly up right away to go and do Top of the Pops, I was torn between two things. I didn't know what to do, so I chose to go to London with Bob, and we did the Top of the Pops.
Which Bob is this? Bob Andy?
Bob Andy.
Okay,
Yes.
all right.
I forget it's two Bob in my career.
Right.
Now, sister, we've seen many songs come out of Jamaica. A lot of dance songs over the years, countless, but none like the Electric Slide. It's a world song, it's a dance song. It plays to this day in any event, any situation. How has that song changed your life?
Well, I don't know if it changed my life. It would have done a great change if I had got the reward financially. But it changed my life in the way that people that I would not have been exposed to, you know, I get recognition worldwide because of that song. That song just spread like a wildfire. And Bonnie himself predicted that if that song was released 10 years from when it was recorded, it would have been a hit song. And it has lasted. This is the longest living song and dance. It has outlived all this dance that came since the Electric Slide. And even from the days that we didn't know, like the Madison, the Bus Stop, the Cha-Cha, the Macarena, just name them. This dance, this song and dance has outlived everyone.
And even today in 2022, the dance is still being used even in the Afrobeat genre.
Yeah, there's not a wedding that you could go to and they don't use that song to close off, you know?
Right. But this is it's your most successful single to date, and it's it's the highest selling single by a female reggae singer. So how you now make the money off it?
Well, I read it myself too. I read it myself. And you know something, it should have been the other way because Elise, very quickly I can tell you the story. I always say this, out of evil cometh good. We went to Canada, I three, Sister Rita, Sister Lizzie and myself to perform. And of course, male-dominated world, we got a lot of hard luck stories from promoters. When the show finished, no money. And each of us got 700 Canadian dollars. I took my $700 and I was walking downtown in Toronto and I went in the store, saw this rhythm box. It's like a keyboard. And I started fiddling around with it and just fell in love with this box because it had every sound and every beat. I bought that box for maybe about $300 and something. So I had change from the seven. Took it to Jamaica and because Bonnie and I go way back. And he usually visit me and bring some nice fruits from Portland, from his vineyard. And I showed him the box, and I showed him a particular sound, which is called the repeater, and the beat, the beat that, one of the beats from the box. And he loved that repeater sound, so we recorded the repeater sound with the beat because you can get the beat and add any keyboard part you want. And trust me, we laid down a couple of things from this one little box. He took it to Portland the night, came back the following day. Everything was just so spontaneous. Came back the next day with the song. We called in Sly and Robbie in the studio to overdub on what we had. And trust me, I voiced that song past the same day. And the song was released, went straight to the #1 spot by Christmas. And, you know, it was just awesome. All the song just took off. And it was not until 1989. That's when that song was released in Jamaica, 83. We were doing the slide, like the moonwalk. You know, that was a dance I had then for that song because it says, you know, electric slide. But it was 1989 while I was on Sunsplash Tour on the West Coast that I got a call from Dr. Dread from Ras Records saying that the song just take off and they put this dance to the song and it's the biggest thing in Washington. So by the time the tour from Washington, I was forced to learn the dance and perform the song in my church.
Who created the dance?
Huh?
Who created the dance?
The dance was created by a group of guys, I can't remember the name, in DC. And we gave credit to them, you know, because they're the ones who just came up with that song. But it's Kiss FM that was just playing the song, the original song, with the original rhythm box. Mm-hmm. So when I was searching all over the place, calling everywhere to find Bonnie, to say, Bonnie, this song is a hit song, and we have to do a video. But I remember that one was the one that Bonnie did that little piece and said,
This girl with electric belly.
Right. We couldn't find Bonnie nowhere. We searched, not a Bonnie. And I came to Jamaica. While the song was just bubbling and everything, it was just spreading everywhere. And when I came to Jamaica, I was going down South Avenue. And when I looked in Media Mix, one of those music places on South Avenue, I saw Bonnie's car and I went in there. So excited to tell him the good news that the song hit and we have to do a video. When I went in there, I almost faint. Bonnie was doing a video for a version that he just went and recorded over.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. And where I was standing, I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to do. I was so shocked. I was so disappointed.
Oh my goodness.
But he wrote the song, and he's free to do what he wants to do with it. But, you know, I was looking forward to doing the video with him. And then Chris Blackwell said to me, the song is doing extremely well. So you know what you could do since that Bonnie did it? He sent us down to down in Miami with the Miami Stone Machine, who was Gloria Estefan's band, to re-record the song. And that's what we did, because he said that big companies don't promote singles, so we ended up doing an entire album. And that's the reason why Chris was not really interested in promoting the single that Bonnie gave him. He wanted a complete album. But until now, that album that Bonnie has I did was never released. So we ended up doing the song in the album, and that's the version that went on the Billboard chart.
Okay, I've never heard that story before.
Wow.
Okay, so let me ask you this now, because we can't talk to Sister Marcia Griffiths and don't talk about the I3s. Mm-hmm. So between 1974 and 81 thereabout, you were a member of the I3s. How was that group formed?
That group came about when all three of us met up at Studio One again. Mr. Dad invited Rita and myself to come and put some harmonies on. I don't remember if it was Horace Andy. And then when we went to Studio One, we saw Sister Judy, but we didn't know her before, you know, and she was there. And all three of us went and we did the song, the vocals on the song. So when we were finished, I said, you know, I'm performing at House at 10 this weekend for 3 nights. How about coming to, you know, do some harmonies with me? And they were happy about it. And we just do a quick run, and they came Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The third night, we decided to do a little jam on the stage. Sweet Inspirations were one of the top groups in Jamaica then. And we did a couple of those songs. And the audience loved it and said, why don't you girls form a group and it sounds so good? And we said, why not? And we came together and I said, let's call ourselves I3. And Sister Rita said, I3. I said, yeah, let's say we three. So that's all the group. But you know what is very, very interesting? At that particular time, that was the time that Bob, Peter, and Bonnie, which is the original Wailers,
Right.
had a fallout. So this is why when I talk about I3, I don't take it for granted. I think everything was ordained by the Almighty God when we came together as a group.
Right.
Because at the same group form is a state of and Peter and Bonnie had this big fallout, whatever it was, I didn't know. And when he heard that we formed a group and we were performing at Arena, Reverend Blair called us in to do a gospel show. That was our first performance. So when Bob heard that we formed a group, he never hesitated. Called us in to do Natty Dread. That was our first single with Bob.
Okay.
Even though prior to that, Rita and myself did Rocket Baby with him, but three of us now went in to do Natty Dread, 3 to number 1. Then, after His Majesty's passing, he called us back to do Jolly. And that was another number 1 song. And the rest is history. We became his 3 little birds.
Speaking about his 3 little birds, I know that you have a vast experience with Bob Marley. You care to share with us one of your most memorable moments with Bob Marley?
Well, it's too many memorable moments that I could talk about. Too many, because I have to say that this is a man who opened my eyes to realize as a young girl coming up, you know, you love to sing. I love to sing, and I was just enjoying doing what I love to do. But it was not until I started working with Bob that I realized that this thing was deeper than just entertainment. Because I've never in my life seen anyone taking this music so serious like how I saw Bob took his music. It wasn't money, nothing at all. He just wanted to get the message across to the people. No matter who or what this man was or whatever, God, I was convinced that God sent this man for a reason. So when I saw how serious Bob took the music, that was when I said, no man, this thing's serious. This is a responsibility you have on your shoulder to mankind. And you have to deliver the message through the medium of the music to teach and educate and uplift. And that's what I saw Bob was doing. So I just turn a new page and tell myself, boy, you know, we are chosen. And I read in the Bible that God calls upon the singers and players because we are the ones who can send the message to the 4 corners of the earth to unite, to educate, to do everything that's positive. And he apparently was called by God to do that work. And believe me, just to know that I am there with someone like that, to see the things that he delivered, how he, you know, he just was different from everybody else I've ever known, unique in every way. And, you know, quickly, I can tell you a moment on stage that I will never forget. In somewhere in Europe, I was like about 7 months pregnant, and I was on stage dancing up a storm. A lot of people hear this story. And I think we were doing Lively Up Yourself, all 3 of us, and I was just dancing and having a good time. Immediately after that song came No Woman No Cry. But I think I overdid myself a little after in that song. And let me tell you, when the slow song started now, No Woman No Cry, I just saw the old, you know, this thing where them called Peeny Wally. I just that old heap of Peeny Wally and the old place getting dark. And I hold on to Rita dress and I say, Rita, I'm going to faint. And trust me, guess what? Before I could reach the ground or anything like that. Out of nowhere, I just felt an arm around my shoulder. And it was Bob.
Oh my
And it's
goodness.
not like Bob look around because his eyes is always closed. It's not like him look around and see something wrong. It's just a vibe. And he came straight over to where I was standing. And before I collapsed, there was Bob. And he took me away all by myself with a microphone in his hand. All of this happening while the music playing, the introduction of the song. And he started to do ad-libs about mothers and children.
Oh
all
my
over the world.
goodness. Oh
And just
my
because I was
goodness.
pregnant, he was comforting me and talking about the mothers and children. And sister, believe me, I was immediately rejuvenated. And even though I was shocked to know, because, as I say, I couldn't understand. I had to ask him after the show what inspired him, what caused him to come over to me, and I was telling him what was happening to me, and he could not give a reason. It's just a vibe and feel and come over to me just before I fell to the ground. And that's a moment that will never leave my mind. Never.
Wow. Wow. Sister Marcia, we're going to
Amazing.
take a break, right? Another break and then come back.
Do your thing, my sister.
You
Do
know what
your
I always remember, sis, before we take that break? Your account of the incident in Zimbabwe.
Oh, yes. Yes.
So we're going to take a break and then when we come back, Beauregard. All right?
Okay.
If you've just joined us, we have the queen herself of reggae music, Sister Marcia Griffiths OD, and we also have Beauregard as a co-host. Your time, Beauregard.
Services.com.
Duh. Beauregard? No, I'm not ready. Oh, okay. Okay. All right. So, Sister Marcia,
Yes, I'm here.
while Beauregard gets ready, give us a little bit about Zimbabwe.
Well, Zimbabwe, we went down. Well, first of all, Judy and myself were the only two people that, never leave with everybody. We didn't want to go. But at the end, we called each other and decided that, yes, let us go. And they sent the ticket and we went. Bob was so happy to see us when we arrived. So the night of the performance, Elise, very quickly, I was the one who smelled something strange on stage because this is the independence of Rhodesia, and he was invited by President Mugabe. So I couldn't understand when I look around and smell something on stage. I look around to see if anybody else, smell something strange and respond in any way. And everybody was just there playing them instruments. Before we know it, the whole stadium was in stampede and everybody was running for their lives because we realized now that this is tear gas. And everybody started running. We started to run ourselves. We saw some kids being trampled, but everybody running for their lives. And when we looked, we saw war tankers and soldiers in them mask up in them thing and ready for war. So we didn't know what was going on. And we were with this guy who was working with Bob, who also comes from Rhodesia, Joe Stabisky. So we stick with him because he was born here. So he, we have to just follow him. And we never stopped running Elise until we reached the house where we were staying because Joe started to say he has never seen this in his life. So I didn't know what was going on. I looked to the heavens and I said, Father God, is Rhodesia, you come take me life out.
Yes,
No,
Marcia.
when I was a little girl, my grandfather used to talk about Rhodesia, and it was always war. So that's the reason why I said that. Growing up and hearing about this place, and now I'm here and I'm going to die right there. But anyway, we want to reach a place, and that was when we started worrying and wondering about Bob and Ziggy, because Ziggy was little. And I said, my God, and can you believe after everything came back to normal, did you know that Bob went back on stage and finished his performance? And it was unbelievable because we didn't know what was going on until everything ended.
Yeah.
And then Bob came to the house. We were all staying, and he looked at the three of us and said, "No, we know who are the real rebels."
So that's where that line came in.
Yes.
Okay.
We feel so bad.
Oh my goodness.
We put the word and we realized later on we learned that it was a group of guys called the Freedom Fighters in Zimbabwe who heard Bob Marley performing in the stadium, and they couldn't get in. They were locked out and they flattened the fence because they wanted to come in. You know, they hear Bob Marley performing and we can't get inside. So when they flattened the fence, that was when they used the tear gas.
Okay. All right. Beauregard is with us again. Go ahead, Beauregard.
Yes, Sister Marcia. Looking back at your career on the heels of Jamaica's 60th independence, from the Studio One days through the I3s, from your solo career to being in the I3s, the many duets that you have done through the penthouse genre, through the penthouse era, I should say. You know, working with Bojo and Beres and all those wonderful artists. Give us your inside take on what that journey has been like.
Well, we all might know that after Bob passed in 81, I saw this great vacuum in the industry. It's like the music didn't know which direction it was going. And there was such a lull in business. And then out of nowhere came this hardcore dancehall thing. And I didn't like some of the lyrics that, they were sending out in this hardcore thing. So I said to Jermaine, because I've been recording at Penthouse since 86, and I said to Jermaine, you know what would be nice? You see this dancehall thing that's going, make we just put some good lyrics and some sweet melody to this same dancehall rhythm. And that is what we did. We tried it and it worked. The same dancehall, the nanny goat and the fire burning rhythm and everything. And then we were all in the same stable. Bojo, Cutty Rangs, Berry, Stony Rebel, all of us were in the same stable. So we did quite a few collabs right there with Bojo, Tony Rebel, Berry, Cutty Rangs. We did a lot of collaborations in the decade of the 90s. That was the Penthouse era where every artist at Penthouse was just running the place with the dancehall thing with all of these artists, including Buju Banton and, Tony Rebel, all of them. So that was the experiment that we tried because we just wanted to keep the music positive. So we decided that we would sing positive. And you see, Beres is a melody maker. He makes the best melodies. And he was writing songs for me in the entire decade of the 90s. So we tried it and it worked,
Marcia, we're sealing off now, but before we seal off, there is something that I want to mention. It's something that I've always respected you for. And we hear about it from time to time, particularly with politics and that kind of thing. This thing called likability. And you are one of the women who will sit down in the middle of a group of men and have them cracking up. And is no, it's not something that your average woman can do. And I think that has served you well in the industry because the men of the industry just adore you. And I'm sure it has helped with your career.
Well, I don't even make any effort to do that. My mother was like that, Elise. Say things, and she not giving any joke, but after the belly hurt you. And I find that I come the same way My children are like that too. We just say things, simple things, and the people find it so amusing. But that is one of the little childish innocence that, few of us have.
Yes.
And I think this is one of the things that keep us really aware and alive,
And
because
young.
it works for me.
Yes, it has certainly worked.
I don't know about the young thing. But,
And me, I tell you, say young. Me is telling you young. And all right, the man them in the studio say, we are say young. We are say young. It has kept you young.
That is definitely a reflection from what is inside, because I usually tell people, no matter what you wear and how you look and whatever, it is all about liberty and your thoughts that make you.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Final words, Beauregard.
Yes, Sister Marcia, thank you once again. Thank you for the music. Thank you for the years. Thank you for the dedication. Your voice is still amazing, just as when you first started out. We consider you reggae royalty. You are a gem to Jamaica, and you've always been gracious to your fans and to everybody who loves your music, especially to us here at Irie Jam Radio. We thank you and continue to sing, because you said it many years ago. I shall sing as long as I live.
Yes,
Absolutely.
yes, I endorse that. And I want to give thanks unto the Almighty God and to my fans. God has preserved me, and my fans has been supporting me over the years. And I am truly thankful for the contribution that I've been making in music. I don't want to say have made, because I'm
Still making.
burning the fire as long as God preserves me. And I'm happy to see that the business that I would then came up in male dominated. I'm happy to see that it's no longer male dominated.
Right.
And it's beautiful to see how everything is going. I usually tell everybody that we have a little spice, a little sugar, a little coffee. The ingredients is good, and I'm happy for that.
Okay.
And one more thing, Sister Marcia. One of your songs that I absolutely love is "Shining Time." Would you say that song sums up your career?
My final song.
Yes.
Final song.
Oh, that's one of my favorite songs too. Yes.
All right. That's my final song.
For itself.
That's my final song. We want to also say before you go, congrats on receiving the Jamaican Order of Distinction in 2014. And Beauregard could not have said anything better, because this is how we're closing off.
Elise, my sister, in 2016, I think they gave me the CD.
Okay. 2016.
No, the OD was the time you said, but
Okay.
I also had gotten CD in one of those years. I don't remember. But thank you so much for having me. And please, my royal sister, continue to keep the fire burning. You do so much for the music.
Thank you very much, my beautiful
And my
sister.
brother, you be blessed. You hear?
Thank you, Sister Marcia. It was a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
We love you.